Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series, and we are at the end of September 1986. There is a missing episode. September 20th, 86 is not available. So we jump to the 27th of same year, and some notable things this week on this particular program. The debut in interview form, at least, of who is known as the Crusher, which threw me when I saw it on the list, but actually it's Bam Bam Bigelow, uh, debuting alongside manager and trainer Larry Sharp. Also, we have a new world-class world champion in Black Bart. Talk about weird. We'll talk about that when we get there. But man, no offense to Bart, I enjoy Black Bart. He's a guy that through the Mid Atlantic / World Championship Wrestling era, I enjoyed a great deal. But to drop from Chris Adams to Black Bart is a drop. And it comes out of nowhere, very little preparation. But we're going to move through this. The Grappler and Spike Johnson, don't know much about Johnson, against the U.S. Express, back to using that name after not using it for a bit, otherwise known as the Batten Twins. Again, I have difficulty telling them apart. I admit that's my weakness. Anyway, Batten, I will call him number one, does some ground wrestling with the Grappler to start things off, including a fireman's carry and other offensive maneuvers here. And then we see Batten number two tag in, using the arm ringers, arm bars, hip toss, and the like. Good babyface shine here, tag off. The babyfaces are in control during the early parts of that. Spike comes in, and that is Spike Johnson again. Guy that maybe has been around once or twice in World Class before today, but not a guy that I know a lot about. They do end up using him at least over the next couple of months. Again, I'm about a month ahead in my viewing, and those episodes for October are going to go up tonight. My goal is to have 86 finished by the end of the weekend, maybe even tomorrow, depending on what my schedule looks like. Man, when you work second and third shift, you never know what your schedule is going to be. But anyway, the Battens with the rolling wishbone, and then they get up and go right after the grappler on the apron. Match is, like I said, super basic. Nothing wrong with that. Flying tackle by Spike, and he gets things going back in his general direction, or the direction for his team more accurately. Big vertical suplex by the grappler as he comes back into the ring. Lots of action in a short span of time in this match. Not slow by any stretch. Probably one of the biggest quick kickoff matches, and a drop kick by one of the Battens into the face of Spike, and that goes in the direction of a big gut wrench suplex, which dropping gut wrench, not a move you see a lot of. We know them now, we're used to them now, but in 1986, lots of moves in this match and emotion in this match, which doesn't align really with what the world-class presentation has been. So that I kind of find that a little interesting. Almost feels like the Battens are trying to be a localized version of the Rock and Roll Express. Maybe that's where they're going. Don't really know, but it's there. It's real and it's there. And so, there's some battle there. Tag off between the Battens, and simple brawling early. Drop kick by the legal Batten, sidewalk slam, or attempted backbreaker more accurately, and Spike Johnson gets the victory over the U.S. Express. Larry Sharp then presents the 6 foot plus 390 pound Crusher. He talks about him being able to crush tin cans with his bare hands, talks about him being one of the most lethal new guys in the area, and Sharp comes in to manage him in the weeks and months to come. So that's interesting. Really good promo from Larry Sharp, lots of hype. Don't know what to make of at this point, the man called the Crusher, but one thing's for sure, he is all tatted up. He's lean. He's angry looking, and he's going to be a big force here in Texas for sure. Speaking of big forces in Texas, Steve Simpson, who they've been pushing pretty strong, pretty heavily for quite a while by this point against Killer Tim Brooks. They've met before. Brooks tries to slow the match down. Simpson, basically a light version of the Von Erichs. I mean, in a lot of ways, you could make that comparison, especially with Kerry being out of action. Anyway, Killer Tim Brooks kind of slows the match down, goes to the reverse chinlock. Brooks has been here both for the big time wrestling and the World Class Championship Wrestling version of the promotion. He is a guy who lots of people don't want to quit on. He's a worthwhile veteran to have around. Anyway, you see Simpson go to the outside for a minute. Brooks not wanting to let him back in the ring, trying to cheat his way to victory. Simpson comes back in, gets a victory out of, I won't say nowhere, but surprising victory. Monkey flip out of the corner, and then he comes right at Brooks relatively quickly. Sunset flip 1, 2, 3 victory for Steve Simpson. Then we move into Bruiser Brody versus Perry Jackson. Poor Perry Jackson doesn't last very long. Big kick by Brody to kick the match off, and Brody does force Jackson to carry his weight. Surprising to see Brody using the, basics of wrestling, headlocks and the like. Not what most people associate with Bruiser Brody, but he is a guy who does have more traditionalized wrestling ability coming up in the Amarillo and other areas of Texas territory in the 70s. He's gonna learn that, and Brody sends Jackson to the outside of the ring and goes out there and brawls with him as to be expected. Brody does come back in, gets a quick nod of a victory, and Big Boot gets the job done. Then we move to, as mentioned, the new world champion on his horse. Now imagine this, a horse, an Appaloosa, I do believe, is how the new World Class Wrestling Alliance champion chooses to enter the ringside area with horse handler in tow. Black Bart says that he is here to fight. He is the world champion. Everybody's going to take him seriously. This seems to come out of nowhere, so I don't know if Chris Adams left unexpectedly. I don't know what happened contractually there. I'm sure the Observer would have information on it or whatever. Newcomer Steve Dahl is the first opponent of Bart, so maybe did Bart bring Dahl with him? Who knows? Bart goes around the ring area and he's hitting lots of heavy punches, chops, uses the buckle. Not exactly a guy that you expect to be looking at as a champion in the area. So this is, I don't know. I don't know if I'd say the beginning of the end because I haven't seen 87 and 88. But man, Black Bart as your world champion, not something that a lot of people saw coming for sure. Big back body drop by him, and then the hot shot across the top rope for Dahl. And then we see Bart, forearms and the like. Dahl comes out the back door. Dahl, mainly a Memphis area, Tennessee area, that region of the country anyway, wrestler, relative newcomer to the sport at this point. Not quite sure how he winds up in this particular assignment, but he's here. And Black Bart drawing with the referee. A Texas-based guy, Southern-based guy in the area makes sense, but you'd think before you put a belt on somebody, you'd have a lot of hype behind them. Anyway, big clothesline by Bart. Bart then goes to the second rope on the inside and manages to hit a flying leg drop a la Bobby Eaton from the second rope. Bart gets a victory, and many people are surprised, as Black Bart is your new world-class champion. your main event as we go forward is Sawyer and Bourne and the Ultimate Warrior versus the Von Erichs. So, Von Erichs, of course, being the perennial six-man team. I don't know if that means Gary Hart has left. Warrior aligned, and again, we did miss a week, so maybe Gary Hart's left the area, as I don't see him with the Warrior. Red and yellow face paint by the Warrior, by the way. Percy Pringle in a yellow and black jacket that looks like it's about 15 years older than it should be. But Sawyer and the Warrior, Mike, Lance, and Kevin Von Erich all here. Obviously, Von Erichs and whomever your heels are an interesting deal. This actually might be around the time that Kerry Von Erich and the Ultimate Warrior formulate their friendship. Kerry still on the recovering end of things, but you know, Warrior and Kerry Von Erich during the, I guess, 91, 92-ish era, formulate an amazing friend. Well, actually, 1990, when Kerry comes in, formulates a huge friendship. Meanwhile, Buzz Sawyer daring Mike Von Erich to hit him. Von Erich does shove him. Mike Von Erich, obviously never the same fully after his surgery and near-death experience. Big drop kick from Von Erich, but he's so pale and he doesn't look together. Big monkey flip out of the corner by Von Erich, and Mike certainly does do everything he can. Kevin comes into the ring, and Matt Bourne and Kevin seem to be ready to go to war. Drop kick by Von Erich, and one thing I always have liked about Kevin is his kind of martial arts-ish stance leads to people taking him a little more seriously, maybe, than they would otherwise. The heels take control for a minute, tag back to Mike for some punishment along the way. We then kind of see a big body slam by the Warrior. Warrior and Mike Von Erich, obviously size differential, obviously a major, discrepancy there. Warrior on the top, second rope on the inside, almost falls off that middle rope, by the way. If you need something to laugh at, go check that out. Because he hits a falling splash. Tag off to Buzz Sawyer. Sawyer takes back over, gets the match back under some control. Tag back to Matt Bourne. If you notice, the Warrior not so much figured into the next little while in the match. Tag off to Kevin Von Erich. Kevin comes in. He's ready to go to town on Matt Bourne, and does. Lots of strikes by Bourne there. Lance Von Erich comes in, diving elbow off the top rope, 1, 2, and near fall on Bourne. Does not get things going there. Assume that Bourne and Sawyer are still your tag team champions. I don't remember that was heavily acknowledged in the commentary. But anyway, a backslide by Lance Von Erich and a drop kick. Lance has picked up the concept of working in bare feet. Probably not the best concept to have. And Kevin goes to town on Buzz Sawyer here. They get a lot of time out of this match, by the way. More time than one would imagine them to get. Percy Pringle on the outside, not exactly happy with what's going on. Warrior with a clothesline on Kevin Von Erich, and Dingo Warrior again tries that falling splash. Seeing it a second time in the same match reminds me that maybe he was meaning to go that way. Not particularly a good way to go for a splash in a hard ring like the Sportatorium ring. Everyone kind of talks about the Sportatorium rings being hard, and I will say, having been in a situation where I was around a Killer Kowalski ring from the early 80s, youch, those rings were tough too. Anyway, Von Erichs do get a victory to close the month of September here in World Class. We'll be back with more right after this.